A native of Topeka, Karen Gregg Neilinger has 2 degrees from Washburn. She received a Bachelor of Arts degree in German in 1988 and a Bachelor of Administration degree in 1989. As a student, she was a member of Delta Gamma, the NOSOS, Washburn Student Association, Campus Activities Board, Washburn Bells, and the choir. She also founded Polyglot, the Foreign Language Club, and organized the Kappa Psi chapter of Phi Sigma Iota, the Foreign Language Honor Society. A lot of Greek there, right? Karen studied abroad in Germany every summer while she was a student, and has since endowed a scholarship fund that benefits students who study abroad. Retired Washburn professor Carol Vogel says this about Karen. I had the privilege of having Karen in a number of classes as she completed a German major. As a student, Karen embodied all the qualities that made it a real pleasure to have her in class. She was always positive, well prepared every day, excelled in all assignments, and her infectious enthusiasm spread to fellow students. In addition, she shared her love of learning languages by founding a language club for all the 4 language majors. She's proof that a knowledge of a second language can open many doors of opportunity. Karen began working on Wall Street in the early 1990s, working for Goldman Sachs Trust Company in New York as a senior analyst. The company moved her to London, where she worked in several divisions: international retail marketing, global operations, and the German fixed income sales desk. She has a broker license and invests and develops residential and commercial properties and manages private family investment accounts, spending most of her time between Florida, Connecticut, and London. She's, as Dr. Farley said, she's also authored the book, Think Rich, Get Rich, Stay Rich. Think like a woman, invest like a pro. Karen's work in the community includes serving as chairwoman of the board for the Greenwich, Connecticut YMCA and Putnam College. She's also served on numerous committees for the United Way. She received the Spirit of Greenwich Award as Volunteer of the Year. She and her husband Neil are co-founders of the National Advisory Committee for the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation in Virginia. She's also a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Raleigh Tavern Society, that sounds like something I would like to join, and a sustaining member of the Junior League. Please welcome back to the campus, Karen Neilinger.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I guess I can sit down now. I don't have to say anything. I can't believe it's been nearly 27 years since I was a student on this campus. Can you? My fellow DGs? It seems like yesterday. So, carpe diem, seize the day. And think outside the box, not in the box, are the 2 thoughts that I would like you to take away today. I thought I would break my speech up into 4 sections this morning: what I did at Washburn and how it prepared me for my future, my career on Wall Street, my career as a property developer, and my book, which I recently wrote, entitled Think Rich, Get Rich, and Stay Rich. It's the staying rich that's the hardest part, because everybody's trying to take your money, especially in Greenwich, Connecticut. First of all, I would like to express how much I really loved being a Washburn student. They are still some of my fondest memories. Campus life was absolutely terrific. Being a native Topekan and graduating from Topeka West, however, I thought about going to KU, K-State, Washburn. But I chose Washburn for several reasons. The first, I liked the smaller class size. Second, I liked being taught by professors. Third, I wanted to be a name and not a number. On other campuses, there are just so many students. You could be in a class of 200. That did not appeal to me at all. In fact, my German classes, some of them only had 3 people in the class. Talk about one-on-one attention. And fourth, the campus life was more mature here than on KU and K-State. It let students get very involved on campus, but it also encouraged people to work on campus and off campus, which actually helped develop my managerial skills. And it also helped to balance my academic curriculum in a very positive way. Now, I'll have you know, I had absolutely no idea what I was going to major in or what I wanted to be when I grew up. My father told me just put down business, so I put down business. I knew I liked to travel and wanted to do something that allowed me to do this because my grandmother took me traveling all over the globe by the time I was 22. She and I traveled to every continent together. And now at 102, we're still traveling, although those travels are much smaller. It means getting into a car and taking her for an ice cream sundae. It's not quite Thelma and Louise anymore. So at Washburn, I gravitated to German as a foreign language and fashion merchandising. As luck would have it, a couple years into my major, the economics department, not economics, what was I saying, the home economics department closed down. And so I had to jump ship and find a new major. So I went into marketing, the next best thing. I figured, look, I could still be a fashion merchandiser later on after I graduated and just do it from, obviously, the business perspective of marketing. After all, how do you sell fashion to women? You have to market it. While on campus, as for my introduction, I was a member of Delta Gamma Sorority, Campus Activities Board, and I was in the NOSA, the choir, the student government, and I started the local Kappa Psi chapter at Phi Sigma Iota, which is an honor society for foreign language majors, and also polyglot, which means people that speak many languages. That was a foreign language club. Additionally, I was a German tutor in the department, and had the privilege of being nominated as one of the finalists for Homecoming Queen. It was quite a bit of fun riding around in the parade, and fortunately a darn independent one. Actually, she was a friend of mine and a very, very lovely girl. And the other three of us Greeks that were up that year had our votes split by all the houses. I'm not sure today how much there is this rivalry between the independents and the Greeks, but in my day, it was huge. But it was all good fun, however, and added to the diversity of the Washburn campus. Work-wise, I worked for Mr. Dinkle as an assistant manager for Dinkle's Restaurant and Pie Pantry, and also for a barbecue restaurant, which was at College Hill. On campus, I worked in the Student Affairs Office, the International House, and the Modern Foreign Language Department. I was very, very fortunate to have received a lot of scholarships and grant money, which paid for my university studies and study abroad programs. I applied for every scholarship and grant that I possibly could find. I did not discriminate. Some of the scholarships I received included Kiwanis Club, Knights of Columbus, the Burrell Johnson Scholarship from the Foreign Language Department, Pell Grants, International Studies Program scholarships as well. All of these helped to pay my way at Washburn, and also my trips to Germany, which I took every summer. Dr. Russell Smith in the Economics Department, I'm not sure if he's here today, and Dr. William Langdon and Carol Fogel in the Modern Foreign Language Department were all very, very instrumental in helping me to obtain these scholarships to study abroad. The good institutes in Germany that I studied at each summer included Rothenburg unter Tauber, Bremen, and Freiburg, and I chose these three because it let me develop and learn the different dialects in Germany. Just like America has different dialects, the German people also have different dialects, the French, the English, etc. They all have different dialects. My senior year, I competed against 400 Kansas students to be awarded the Rotary Graduate Scholarship for study abroad. This paid for all of my living expenses and studies for 1 year at the school of my choosing, and so I chose the European Business School in Germany, which was in Österreich-Winkel. It was a private school for the German elite. Washburn created a terrific learning environment. I felt like a sponge when I was here, always wanting to learn more. This learning environment made me aspire to graduating in 1988 with 2 bachelor degrees, a BA in German and a BBA in marketing. The Modern Foreign Language Department and the School of Business both encouraged me to apply for graduate study programs during my senior year at Washburn. Knowing that I wanted to do international business at that point, and Washburn did not offer that at the time, I applied to 3 top schools in the nation for international MBA programs. It was Thunderbird, the Lauder Institute at Wharton, and also the South Carolina program. My language professors also encouraged me to apply to 2 different language schools that were the tops at the time for German studies, Middlebury College in Vermont and the Monterey Institute in California. I have to say that my Washburn education was first class and enabled me to compete with the creme de la creme students in the nation. I was accepted to every graduate school I applied to and competed with students coming from Harvard, Yale, MIT, Smith College, etc. at these schools. But due to the 1-year abroad Rotary Scholarship that I received, only Thunderbird and Middlebury would work with me to use my scholarship so I could transfer credits from EBS, the European Business School in Germany, towards my MA in German at Middlebury and my International MBA at Thunderbird. So off to Phoenix, Arizona and Middlebury, Vermont, I went. Spending the spring of 1989 in Phoenix, not a bad time of year to be there. Summer in Vermont, also not a bad time of year to be there. And then fall semester in 1989 in Österreich-Winkel, Germany at the European Business School, which was a private school for elite Germans. The campus was divided into 2 castles, one in Österreich and one in Winkel. All the students drove Porsches, Audis, Mercedes, BMWs, while we poor Americans schlepped to school on the bus and trains. The EBS program, due to my Rotary Graduate Scholarship, comprised of 2 semesters instead of the normal 1 that the exchange students did from Middlebury and from Thunderbird. The first semester was with other international students only, and we were kind of segregated into one of the castles. The second semester I competed solely with Germans, and I was the only non-German in those classes. Between semesters, the EBS program enabled me to have 2 internships while I was in Germany, which were wonderful because they even paid you, as opposed to American internships, which expect you to pay them. With Lancaster Cosmetics in Wiesbaden was the first one, which was a conglomerate of 5 different cosmetic companies under one roof. It was Job, Givenchy, Bogner, Jill Sander, and Lancaster. My second internship was with something very different, FM. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but you've probably heard of the sister company, Mars International. The candy bar company, Snickers, etc. But I chose the unglamorous company on purpose. I chose the pet food division because I wanted to prove that I was a very good marketer and I could market anything from cosmetics to pet food. And that internship was even better because they gave me an Audi 5000 to drive, and they paid for my apartment and also a stipend while I was there, and then offered me a job. But I couldn't take it because I had to return and finish one last semester at Thunderbird. And did I tell you that it was such an exciting time when I was in Germany? It was the fall of 1989. And we just happened to have a school trip planned on the agenda in Berlin when the wall came down. So I chiseled out a piece of the wall by Brandenburg Tor, which had all the graffiti on it, got in trouble by the cops when I was there, and brought that piece of wall back and gave it to the German department here at Washburn as a thank you. And I know that they had it in a little plaque in the offices there. We were looking for it yesterday. So I don't know what happened to it, so if somebody knows what happened to that piece of the wall, please return it. Upon graduating from Thunderbird in 1990, you'll recall that there was a huge recession going on in the United States, but it was a white-collar recession instead of the normal blue-collar recession that had been taking place over the decades. My father kept bugging me, get a job, get a job, get a job. It was time for me to get out of school. And he said, treat the Career Planning and Placement Center like you would a class. Ignore your grades your last semester, because I was always very conscientious about getting cum laude and stuff like that. Ignore that, get a job. So interviews I did. And with any and all companies that would have me. Again, I did not discriminate. And I went outside of the box, interviewing with 2 to 3 companies a day. I remember Goldman Sachs picked my name out of a resume book, and a Goldman partner flew in on a private plane right onto Thunderbird's runway, because Thunderbird was the old Air Force base back in the Second World War, and then it turned into a graduate school. So they had this landing strip that all of the corporate jets would fly into. A good friend of mine tucked a newspaper article underneath my arm that day. It was from the Wall Street Journal, and it was entitled, Goldman Sachs, the Cowboys of Wall Street. The Goldman partner, a true rocket scientist, now there's the fake ones, but he was actually a true one, was impressed that I had this article tucked under my arm, and that I was interviewing with the CIA that day and Cargill yesterday. He asked why, and I told him I had to find employment. So I was interviewing with everyone and anyone. He asked if I liked to talk on the phone, and I said, well, naturally, I'm a girl, aren't I? And he also liked the fact that I had a CNN accent, because the Kansas dialect is the neutral American accent, and said that foreigners would be able to understand me, unlike the harder New York accent, like from Staten Island, the Bronx, Queens. He also liked the fact that I spoke many languages. I had studied German, Spanish, and Russian, and that I had traveled abroad, and obviously had a business degree in marketing, and my master's was in finance, and that I was very, very hungry and eager to work. He flew me back to Wall Street, and I spent another day interviewing and was hired alongside 3 other Thunderbirds. And just to make a note that there were only 8 people hired from my graduating class of Thunderbird of 400 that year because of the recession. Now I have to tell you that when I received the call that I had been given the job at Goldman Sachs as a senior analyst, I told Goldman first that I would have to see if it was okay with my folks in Kansas. The executive said, you go right ahead, I'm sure they'll let you, and she was chuckling. My finance professor at Thunderbird, who had been the CEO of Thomas Cook International, the foreign exchange company, said that he said, do not pass go. Go directly to Goldman Sachs, even if it's mopping a floor, because you'll be in there with the movers and shakers of the world, and that will set you up for life. My grandmother, when I told her I was going to work for Goldman Sachs, said, oh, that's wonderful, honey, I'll get your 30% discount. She had high hopes that I was still going into my fashion merchandising of Saks without me. My father, though not happy that it wasn't the local bank in Topeka, knew Goldman Sachs very well because he taught me to trade stocks at a very early age. My minister, though jokingly, said, well, you're headed off to Sodom and Gomorrah. But needless to say, I took the job and never looked back. After 8 weeks of training in the old Drexel Burnham building, wasn't that appropriate, the junk bond king, Michael Milken, that went to jail, I was transferred to London on the global operations floor, doing settlements and essentially debt collection by the millions and billions. With settlements, it means that you're settling trades, and so the money has to come at an exact time, and if it doesn't, then the trade is decayed, meaning it's not known, and it doesn't settle, and that's a very, very bad thing. Finally, with Goldman, we moved to Peterborough Court, the swanky new offices on the Strand, and I transferred into the trust company there. And I was still bouncing back and forth from London to New York with Goldman Sachs. Goldman offered wonderful perks and a terrific salary. However, I was a bit of an idealist. I truly wanted to use my marketing skills as well as my language skills. So I gave my resume to a JGB trader, Japanese government bond trader, that was living next door to me in London. And he passed it on to Lehman Brothers. Again, thinking outside of the box. Leave Goldman Sachs. Was I stupid? But by doing that, I obtained my dream job, which was head of international marketing on the retail side in the financial services division at Lehman Brothers, which meant marketing intangible products. Here I learned how to market tangible. Now you have to market intangible, something that nobody can see, touch, or touch. How do you sell that? You have to create a need. You have to create a want. And that's how you sell it. The great thing about Wall Street is that young people can rise to the top quickly and gain loads of responsibility. That also is the bad part of Wall Street, because they don't remember market cycles and market corrections due to their youth, which can ensue panic selling when times get very tough, which you saw in the Great Recession recently. There was a lot of panic selling. That's why the Dow was dropping thousands of points. Although the financial perks and salary were fantastic at Goldman Sachs, this was my dream job, and I was able to use my language skills and use them well. While at Lehman Brothers, I spearheaded their international marketing efforts, creating their first multilingual brochure for retail clients, daily bond reports, and a weekly newsletter teaching brokers which flavor of the week to be selling to their clients. Additionally, I had weekly conference calls with the branch managers around the globe and picked the brains of traders, strategists, economists, and the legal team for these trading ideas and strategies to develop and market these intangible products to clients on a global basis. The branch offices I covered were on every continent. My day started with the branches in Singapore and Hong Kong, moving on to Dubai and Bahrain, then 20 offices in Eastern and Western Europe, then on to Miami International, New York International, and then I would end my day speaking with Argentina and Chile. From London, Greenwich Mean Time, I could cover the entire globe every day. When Lehman Brothers sold off the financial services division to Prudential, I jumped onto the fixed income sales trading floor. I found a home on the German fixed income desk and sold bonds to everyone that spoke German or were at a German company or needed German bunds, or German bonds. Again, this included many countries you might not normally think of, such as Italy, Switzerland, Austria, Germany, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, and a few clients in the United States. Then, my husband at the time, a lowly floating rate notes trader on the fixed income floor at Lehman Brothers, and I got married after dating for 3 years. My husband Neil quickly rose to co-head of global fixed income sales and trading. The head of fixed income sales missed the marketing that I used to provide, both retail and in part the fixed income and equity institutional trading side of the business, and asked me to form a new fixed income marketing department, similar to what I had done on the retail side of the business. Now, marketing at these firms was always considered a luxury, not a necessity, whereas sales is considered a necessity. Salaries were normally much, much better on the sales and trading side than marketing or the global ops area. After all, how can you give a commission to a marketing person like you would a sales or trading person that you can track exactly what business they bring in, whereas how do you do that with a marketing person? Lehman treated me very, very fairly, so I took the challenge and started up this division in London. About a year later, my husband was courted by Deutsche Bank to run their global credit trading offices throughout the world. The offer was too good to pass up. He and I rehearsed exactly what would happen. It would be considered a conflict of interest for me because I knew exactly what clients he would be poaching because I knew how much money was with corn, wheat, barley, Milo, gold, etc. And how to save for your pension and retirement. And if you just put away $25 a day, think how that can add up, especially with compound interest. And so here again, I'm just going to wrap it up by saying, seize the day and think outside of the box, because that's how my entire life has been. I would not have jumped from Washburn to then Thunderbird to Middlebury to Germany to Goldman Sachs on Wall Street and then into property development. Always look for opportunities, seize the day, and you can always change your career at any time. If it doesn't work out, seize the day and move on. Thank you.